To that reason in a professional manner, and once it's done, that the public can't deal with that situation until you get there. Once it's done, then it's over with.
It's that famous quote, right? Those that I fight, I don't have to hate, and those that I serve, I don't have to love. I just do it in the middle.
It's on Amazon, Kamikaze. Make sure you guys get your copy. But what inspired you to write this book?
Real simple. A lesson learned should be a lesson shared. And it's literally, as cliche as it sounds, it's literally, what I wish somebody had told me then. It's not a love affair with policing. Obviously, it's geared toward helping police officers, sure, to manage, like I said, and the trajectory of the career. But it's also meant more for the loved ones. You know how sometimes you want to get that message to your loved ones, and there's that disconnect. But it takes that same message, but for an outside source to deliver it. So I figured if I could help with the loved ones, and then ironically, and I've taken heat for this, to appeal to the opposition, not to get them to start flying a blue line flag, but to just maybe hear it, especially from. I am of rank, so I'm not going to give it to you while we do it perfect all the time. But maybe, just maybe, to offer that insight as to this is how, why, what. And I figured if I could do that, then maybe I left my thumbprint on it. There's so many of us out there. I'm not special because I wrote a book. There's so many of us out there that have a story to tell, but we're minimized to that one time I was chasing that criminal. There's so much more to us, bro.
Yeah. With the newer generation of law enforcement coming in, what do you tell them?
Please tattoo it on your heart that you work for yourself. You work with ABC Police Department.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why is because if you do it that way, then you're subscribing to your own personal values, your resiliency, your work ethic, your work attitude, your self-discipline. There's going to come times of tranquility where things are going great. I mean, you can't miss. Every shot you throw up goes in the basket. And then there's going to come times that you're going to feel like no matter what you do, it's raining above your head. Yeah. So the only way to navigate that is not to point the fingers outward and blame. Well, he said, well, she said, well, he did, well, she did. Look to within, go back to your source, and go back to the fact that you work for yourself. What did you sign up for yourself to do or to not do? And I think that's the secret sauce, and it's the key to longevity, which is what we're seeing now. See, I don't believe that we have a recruitment crisis. I believe we have a retention crisis that we've created ourselves. And I think that if we don't fix that, who the hell do you think is talking to the next in line? It's us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't have to worry about sign-on bonuses. You got to know, what did you already sign on for, right?
Fires, fights, stabbings, shootings. It's the vicious cycle of violence people in Venice have to deal with.
Those who fight monsters inevitably change. Because of all that they see and do, they lose their innocence and a piece of their humanity with it. If they want to survive, they begin to adopt some of the same characteristics as the monsters they fight. It is necessary. They become capable of rage and extreme violence. There is a fundamental difference, however. You see, they keep those monster tendencies locked away in a cage, deep inside. That monster is only allowed out to protect others, to accomplish the mission, to get the job done, not for the perverse pleasure that the monsters feel and harm others. In fact, those monster tendencies cause damage. Guilt, isolation, depression, PTSD. There is a cost for visiting violence on others when you are not a monster. Those who do so know one thing. The cost inflicted upon society as a whole is far greater without those who fight monsters. That is why we are willing to make that horrible sacrifice so others may live peaceably. Before you judge one of us, remember this. We witness things that humans aren't meant to see, and we see them repeatedly. We perform the duties that you feel are beneath you. We solve your problems, often by visiting violence upon others. We run towards the things that you run away from. We go out to fight what you fear. We stand between you and the monsters that want to damage you. You want to pretend that they don't exist, but we know better. The current political climate holds that there is nothing worth fighting for. Submission is the popular mantra. Warriors are decried, denigrated, and cast as morally inferior. We know how childish, how asinine, and how cowardly that mindset is. There are things worth fighting and dying for. We know that not every problem can be solved through rational discourse, that some problems can only be solved through the application of force and violence. While we do prefer the former, we are perfectly capable of the latter. We believe that fighting what others fear is honorable, noble, and just. They're willing to pay that price for that deeply held belief. Why? For us. It isn't a choice. It is what we are. We are simply built for it.
Welcome to Black and Blue, the podcast that's just for you. We bring solutions to everyday problems. We are here to humanize the badge. By interviewing first responders and discussing their trainings, experiences, and publications. Black and Blue airs weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. I'm sitting here with Tom Rizzo, former guest on the show, talking about training and retention. Training and retention as far as first responders and LEO. I know we just got done doing your training session, quite energetic, a lot of fun watching you and watching the slides. Thank you very much for doing this interview. But can you give us a brief synopsis on your perspective on training and retention as far as the world involved with law enforcement today?
So I think, first of all, thank you for coming. I really appreciate the support. I love the way that we mutually support each other, and I wish we would do more of that. The training and retention is very simple with me. I think that we've added so much to the requirement that it's almost to professionalize it. We've always argued, is this a profession? I say, well, now I think it certainly is. But look at how many certifications, the training requirements, it's just more and more and more onto the plate. So I think, you have to match that with something if you want the retention to remain, and then have the retention serve as your best recruiters and go out there and recruit like-minded people like we discussed today with the same sense of values to join the organization so that we keep it staffed accordingly. So I think that the more we add to the plate, it can't just be the plate remains the same size with more substance on it. We have to do something to get creative in terms of specialized
expertise. You know, I specialize in this, you specialize in that, and then we train accordingly. The broad brush training and just added requirements that's just blindly assigned to police departments now, that from top to bottom all have to do, I think is a system that's almost inevitably going to fail, and people are going to walk away from it instead of be attracted to it.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I know you talked about leadership as far as just a patrolman or all the way up to the chief.
Yeah.
And finding, I think you explained it very eloquently on how working in the middle, actually the patrol guys being able to talk to the higher ups on what's realistic and what's fantasy, and as far as the chiefs or the admin coming down and actually understanding, yes, this is myth, this is legend, this will work, this will not. What are some of your perspectives on that?
I just think that communication's free, it's readily available, you don't need bigger budgets, you don't need more people. And I think that we often allow communication channels to be opened to outsiders, which is important too for transparency, but it shouldn't be at the cost of the communication suffering within our buildings. Who better than to tell you and get a good climate gauge as to what's going on the streets of your jurisdiction than those that are out there on the streets of your jurisdiction? And I understand why we're reluctant sometimes to field those messages, because they're based in cynical, responses, and some people that are unhappy. I understand that, but nonetheless, it's still information, and all information is valuable. So when we field all information and we put it into our crock pot and we cook it up, we kind of get some pretty accurate answers as to what we need to do, what we need to improve upon, or what we need to continue doing that is working.
Perfect. And I have nothing else. Any final thoughts?
Just the fact that we support each other, and I want to set that example that you see us and we're supporting each other. We're out there trying. Why? Because you recognize I'm trying to do something good. I recognize you're doing something good. And I think if we were to spread that type of good virus with each other, I think that we could actually make, systemic change in the industry, and it could be better to attract more people to it.
Good. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,